Ah, so we begin again. Isn't it interesting how easy it is to make something appear so different? You know, before we go down this tunnel and on this journey together today, I just have to say it again. I am live authoring an experience, a book, a thing that's coming through me. If you are wise, you will read between the lines. And this is just fantasy memoir, a work of art, a creation. Today we're discussing God in the land of Oz. Welcome to church. I've had a lot of things flow through this morning, so I'm always curious to see what will actually come out as we dive in. God in the land of Oz. Hey, hi, pop in, say hello. If I don't respond to y'all and you're popping on, I love y'all. I'm just kind of in a flow. God in the land of Oz. You know, this space called Oz, the land called Oz, is an inversion. In the land called Oz, they took the truth and they flipped it right upside down. Yo, this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down, and I'd like to take a second, just sit right here, and I'll tell you how we all got duped over here. Welcome. The land of Oz. The land of Oz is an inversion. It is a lie. It is lit with false light that shifts the scene, alters your perception, makes things appear a little bit different, perhaps, than they really are. It's false light. It's not real. It's nothing that compares to, you know, what exists and is available outside the matrix. So the real color. There we go. That's better. Hi. You know, it's that easy. It's that easy to change the lens in your perspective in the land of Oz and to have you thinking and believing and seeing something that maybe isn't quite right. And that is the foundation on which they've had people build and create and begin to believe. I just find it funny. I watch people pop on and off, and I wonder what piece of the energy is getting them and who I'm repelling. Because, you know, we are electromagnets, living technology electromagnets. And from your heart space, you constantly have heart coherence with other people or without. And we are constantly attracting and repelling. Are you utilizing that superpower? Are you? See, in this land called Oz, they do all kinds of things to manipulate beliefs and manipulate perception and alter point of view. Because perception creates reality. If you can alter someone's perception, if you can tweak their beliefs, you can change their thinking. You can alter their behavior. Oh gosh, you want me to go there? That's so gross. Okay, I'll go there. You know, as I started this video, I had this enormous pain begin to well up right here underneath my rib cage on the left-hand side. It's a place that has felt painful and kind of stuck off and on for a while. Almost like if I were a bird and it were a wing, or like a rib thing that needs to pop back into place, and it flared up as I sat down to do this talk. Whether or not you want to admit it, we are in a war, a spiritual war, a physical war, a war over your psyche in this land called Oz. In this land called Oz, the characters are preyed upon by the people that they think are praying for them. There are energies and entities that don't want me to speak about this today that are actually causing physical sensation in my body, trying to take me out, because if this were to get out, you would be less likely to be controlled in this land called Oz. See, this land called Oz is set up as a game. It is a maze of madness designed to distract, designed to cut off, designed to create trauma and debris and energetic injuries within the beings of Oz. Because as you do this, you alter the perception. You change the view just a little bit. And by changing the perception and the point of view just a little bit, you alter what those people in the land called Oz are capable of seeing, are capable of being. And so we're having chats like this to begin to open up cracks of possibility that may not have been there before from the limited perception where you were looking. And I've got to tell you, if you've been looking through a faulty perception, if you've been looking through a lens that is not quite real, you are not to blame. We are all a byproduct of the land of Oz and the programming and the poisoning there within. You are not to blame, but you are responsible. You are responsible for holding yourself accountable and for choosing whether or not you continue to participate in the programming and the poison and the paradigm of Oz. See, because as we begin to have this conversation, I'm not here to tell you what is true. I'm not here to tell you what's a lie. You have within you your own internal guidance system, your own internal GPS, your intuition. There's a way that truth resonates within your being, and you know it. And your entire being is actually hardwired for that truth. No one and no thing outside of you can tell you what is actually true and real. That is something that is an inside job. See, but when they created God in the land of Oz, they forgot that little truth. Ain't that convenient? When they compiled the book that is the Word of God, they omitted certain things. And an omission is still a lie. A half-truth is a lie. It is a sin. It is missing the mark of what is actually so. Lies by omission are still lies. If you conveniently leave out information in order to, you are a manipulator. So in this land called Oz, this practice of omitting information, of subduing information, of telling half-truths, of speaking out of both sides of their mouth, which is also called gaslighting, this thing of spinning webs and lies, is a very land of Oz thing to do. And in the land of Oz, those that end up in the spotlight, those that end up with popularity, those that end up with the platform, how do you think they got there? See, those people earn platforms and earn profits by being false prophets, by supporting and uplifting the agenda of the overlords of Oz. And this is an insidious issue. You look at any company on the planet that has ever existed and will ever exist, and if you see issues down here in the bulk of it, in the workforce, it is a leadership issue trickling top down. You suddenly get in good, clean leadership, and things begin to shift all the way down. But you have someone at the top that wants to be an overlord in the land of Oz that actually gets high off of siphoning energy off of other people, actually gets high off of control, off of fear, off of the chemical effect that happens within your being when you are in fear. When you have those people in control at the top, the amount of deception and the web of lie and misinformation that is woven from that. They call it a culture, a company culture, a culture, a way of being, right? And they try to pump you up on that. What they're really creating is the kind of culture that they make in a petri dish. It's bacteria. Now I got to tell you, I love me some God. God is the source, the creator, the one creator, the one source. And one of the things that the land of Oz does, which by the way, this source flows through all of us. We are all children of this loving creator, of this infinite artist, of this intelligent design. But in the land of Oz, they like to put all kinds of lenses over what God really is. They like to separate the people from knowing the Creator personally. They like to make it look like that each individual needs to have some kind of intercessor before they can connect. I live in an RV. We've traveled for a little over 2 years now. You know, something interesting about RVs, if you're gonna, we've got solar, but we can't run our AC off of it. So if we're gonna plug in, we actually have to plug a cord into a power source. And quite frankly, if I don't have the sun, I also don't have power. But I have to plug a cord into a power source. Okay? The closer that I am to the power source, the better, because the longer the cord, the more sections of electrical cord that I have between my home and my source, between my temple and the source, all kinds of crazy stuff can happen. Number one, the longer the cord, the more diluted the power becomes. Number two, the more connections and the more pieces I have between the source and the temple, the more opportunity that there is for corruption in the wire, in the connectors. You guys ever tried to plug something in with a cord that's frayed? I know you have. The phone cords they sell suck. I know you know this experience. You know, where like this part right below where it plugs in, this part gets all frayed. And then you got to line it up just so in order to get any power flowing through. This is the kind of system that Oz has created. They've cut people off from actual connection with the source, and they've cut them off from themselves. Now, there's a very unique thing. Like, you can't just plug any kind of plug into a plug. I know y'all know this too. They do this with their stupid chargers all the time. Like, why are they all different? Okay, you have to have a certain kind of plug. Well, you are a specific kind of plug. You are designed a certain way. Look, they don't want me to talk about it. No, not today, Satan. You are a certain kind of plug. You actually have a unique way of connecting with Source, but you do it through being yourself. Okay, so in the land of Oz, one of the things that they do to get people to disconnect from the true creator, the true loving God that flows within you, that lives within you, that you are a child of, that you are connected to, that you cannot be separated from without an outside force. You are a unique plug. If I try to plug this into the back of my house, this little dinky cord ain't going to do anything for me. I need a specific kind of connection, and it needs to be a solid one. connecting the temple to the source. And without that, if you don't have some kind of source, like, the lights don't turn on. The slide doesn't go out. Call out, girl, I see you on here. I know you know what I'm talking about. Jack doesn't work. It's a shit show. You're cold. You're cut off from the source. So isn't it really interesting that in this land called Oz, that they would want to like make a chain of people to connect with source, to connect with God? Isn't it interesting that they say things like, well, yeah, like, well, if you really want to know God, then you need to come sit in this building and you need to listen to this other person talk about God. And the only way to really connect with God is if you go through this other person. But then, like, as the church has expanded, there's like more and more and more and more people. And how do I even know that this connection that I'm using, this person that I'm using to help me connect with God, how do I know that that connection is not corrupted? Okay, like, I know that the plug that we plug into the back of our rig, the one that fits our temple, I know that that plug is in good working order and good condition. But if I'm borrowing a cord from some Joe Schmo that doesn't take care of their connection with the real source, if I'm checking on using their random crap, I could be really setting myself up for failure. You know, like, this is coming from a girl that's had multiple electrical fires in her house. This is a big situation. This is a big situation. I got to tell you a couple stories. So there was this one day that I had this red toaster and I was going to go blow dry my hair. So I trusted that the toaster would do a good job. Because, like, the toaster is designed for this purpose, right? Like, you put the waffles in, you push the thingy down, it gets hot, they get all crispy and golden brown delicious. Yum. Well, I assumed that because this toaster was designed and was in this position to make waffles, that it could handle the job that I was entrusting it to. So I go off and I blow dry my hair, and then all of a sudden we start to smell smoke. And this was like a long time ago. People that aren't in my life anymore. But we start to smell smoke, and we run to the kitchen, and this red toaster has flames coming out of it, and the flames are like licking the side of the cabinet in the kitchen. Like, it was like a big fire. It was like almost going to take my whole kitchen down. And you know what? Like, the summer before, the neighbor had a kitchen fire right across the street from me. And that thing got out of control quick. They didn't catch it. I caught it before it actually burned up my whole cabinets and made it something more. But the neighbor didn't catch it in time. The neighbor had a crappy electrical connection, and it burned a hole right through the middle of his home. I don't know how you get that kind of damage out of a home. I don't know if it's ever the same. So we've had generations of people in this land called Oz, and you know, this fictional place that I'm writing about. We've had generations of people that have been counting on some shoddy source to get their power, to get their sustenance. We have trusted far too many intercessors on our behalf that are corrupt, that don't actually follow, believe in, listen to the true source, the true creator. We've had a massive corruption in that people have intentionally omitted certain parts of the Word of God in this land called Oz, so that they could have more control and can manipulate the people. And a lie of omission is like the very worst kind of lie. Because when there's a lie of omission, but then there is some truth, and then they pepper in other lies, people eat up the lies and they don't know about the omission, and they just buy it all as so. How do you control a group of people? Well, gosh, you alter their belief system. You implant a bunch of limiting things that act like sleeper cells within their being. So that every time they go to strive, every time they go to step out, every time they go to listen to the call on their heart from God, from Source, every time they go look for external validation, and every time they go look for more support, and oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? You've created a system so corrupt, so disconnected from the real source that it's like a giant game of telephone and no one is getting a clear signal. It's time to wake up and make sure that you are getting a clear signal. Read the Word of God, fine, but make sure that if you're reading it, you're reading all of it, that you're going back and you're actually seeking out the parts that were omitted, because the parts that were omitted paint the whole picture. Without it, without actually doing your due diligence and being discerning and collecting all things and then weighing them within your own heart for whether or not they are true. Without doing that, you are robbing yourself of the opportunity of experiencing what it's like to have a pure, real connection from the temple to the source, from yourself to the Creator. I gotta tell you, we started out in a 3-room tent a little over 2 years ago. And I'm so grateful because in a tent in the woods, I found myself, and I found myself in a tent in the woods. And there was nothing else that I needed. I needed time and space away from the obnoxious din of the city and the overwhelm of everybody else's energy. I needed to just get back into nature, and I needed to get back to my roots. And I needed to really feel this thing that just flows. I got to tell you now, though, that after having that experience and having what I have now, where I get to pull a luxury hotel room suite behind my nice truck and park it wherever the hell I feel like it, and have the creature comforts that I am used to from having power, it's pretty glorious. I wonder how many people have been wandering, setting up tents within the cities of Oz, hoping to find some power, hoping to find some connection, hoping to plug into the source, but they've been looking to the wrong daddy. They've been looking to the ones that sit in big government buildings, or not, if you're following what's happening, rather than actually leaning on the heavenly system. By the way, when you omit one piece, you miss the whole puzzle. Y'all ever done a puzzle and like, gosh, man, I don't know what happened. Maybe, I don't know. I've done a puzzle we camp a lot. So like at these campgrounds, you pull out a puzzle, but someone else has done the puzzle and someone's lost the most important pieces. So you go to put the puzzle together and it's like, I can sort of see what that was supposed to be. But like someone's face is missing and, you know, I don't know, there's just chunks, just table shining through. We've been given an incomplete picture in this land of Oz. The people in the land of Oz have just been lied to. And so, okay, well, Brooke, what did they lie to us about? Well, let's start at the beginning. There weren't 12. That's not the beginning. Time's not linear. I don't know. We're going to come full circle. It's all going to make sense in a minute. First off, there were not 12. There were not 12 disciples. There were a lot more disciples. There were actually, the more that Jesus went and taught, the more that he had a caravan and a congregation of people that were coming to be in his energy, to be around him, to learn from him, to work with him. He attracted people that were healers of all sorts. Do you know who some of the most potent healers on the planet are? Hello, ladies. Hello, feminine energy. You want to tell me that God came through man, became man through the flesh, came to live here, came to teach, came to save people, but he wanted to somehow exclude women? Yeshua ben Joseph actually came and learned from the very best and the very brightest on the planet. Those that had a solid, secure connection from self to source, from temple to creator, to God. He didn't come to party with Pharisees. He wasn't looking to be around people that were following the law of God that had been so written so far. No, he came actually to tap people into the God that is within them. And on his journey, he bumped paths with a woman named Mary Magdalene. Now, at that time, again, y'all go do your own research. I live in 200 square feet. I'm not organized. I'm not going to have scripture out for you right now. Okay, like, please just go do your own damn research. I'm just telling you what I found. Okay, but he bumps paths with this lady named Mary Magdalene. Well, at that time, and you know what? It's something that's still carried over. My legal name is Brooke Jones. As if I'm the property of Patrick Jones. I'm not. I'm Brooke Mackey, thank you. And we have created a partnership together. But Mary Magdalene, Mary didn't carry a man's name. She was Mary of Magdalene. She was a woman of this town. She actually was a landowner. How's that to flip some things on your head? Weren't we told, oh, women couldn't own land back then? But wait, what? Number 2, she was Egyptian. Number 3, she was a scholar. Number 4, she was considered Jesus' equal. You know, the original biblical story, Eve was not Adam's first wife, Lilith was. And Lilith was made from the same dirt as Adam. And Mary Magdalene was that to Jesus. And the connection that the two of them had was different than the relationship that he had with any other disciple. And the other disciples were actually quite jealous of it. But isn't that the case? When you have an intimate relationship with someone of the opposite sex, when you are in partnership with one another, don't you have a different kind of relationship than you do with anyone else on the earth? I kind of wonder sometimes, like, what did they share between the two of them simply because of the polarity of men and women that didn't exist anywhere else? And why isn't her book included in the Bible? They tried to destroy it. The first 6 pages of it are missing. Please go find it. Please go read it. Because what Mary talks about is something that is so different than what we have been taught in the land called Oz, about God, about being a child of God, about what that means, about how we find salvation. It happens here, by the way, while you're alive on the planet, with a living, breathing creator flowing through you. You are an extension of it. You are God exploring itself through your unique perspective. How amazing is that? See, it's really interesting. Mary Magdalene was the first to enter the tomb after Jesus had risen, but we cut her account, her direct account. Like, I was there, I lived it, I breathed it, I experienced it. We cut her direct account out of the Bible, and instead we play a game of telephone. And we look to other people who were told the story for their interpretation of it. I'm seeing some crazy shit like that, by the way, happen in this, quote, real world, which is really quite Oz-like. You know, at what point did someone who has been dubbed or certified an expert suddenly become more true or more real than listening to the people that have frickin' been through the damn thing? Well, the experts don't say. Oh, really? Well, I actively live with the consequences of it. Like, come on now. Too many people have created too much separation between the source and the temple, between the creator and themselves, between source and self. They have entrusted far too much to external sources rather than weighing what is true and what is right and what is real within their own heart. I don't know if there's a greater sin than that. Sin, by the way, is an archery term. It means to miss the mark. And you know what? If there's a divine creator, a God, that thought that there should be bullfrogs in the pond over here and clovers in the grass and this beautiful sky and these clouds and one of you, why are we not connected directly to that? Is there a bigger way to actually miss the mark than to heed the very information that is coming through your being, through your heart space, from the source? How many people in the land of Oz have been duped into thinking so logically, thinking so scientifically, so that they are blinded, literally blinded. Hang on, wait for it. Blinded by the false light. There is false light and there is true light, and you don't get to the real light without facing the darkness that actually exists. Okay, Oz is a giant production studio. Oz is like being in your own personal Truman Show inside the Matrix, and you just don't even realize it. All of those movies that they put out were not movies. They were documentaries about this place called Oz. Ugh. Gross. The things that we thought were CGI were not. The things that we thought were real were CGI. It is a giant production studio. They can make things look any way that they want them to look. And your imagination doesn't know the difference between what is true and what is false, what is real, what is imaginary. You can literally, in this land called Oz, you can flash an image. You could introduce a smell, you could play a sound, and you could transport and alter somebody's remembering of a situation, their perception of an event, their perception of this place where they live. And in this land called Oz, they've created, there's so much debris. There's so much debris blocking the path that there's no real, clean, true information flowing, energy flowing. They built an entire false ecosystem, a false environment. They tried to copycat, outplay, deceive, manipulate, even kill the real living, breathing God, the creator. And they created these concrete cages that cut the people of Oz off from nature and off from their real nature. See, and as soon as they did this, and as soon as they started to say, well, God is a big, fearful God, and you should be afraid of him. Obey him or else. But see, the people like down here, they just didn't know. They didn't have the same information as the people up here. And the people up here were taking information that they were getting and they were perverting it because they're a bunch of perverts. And they were inverting it and they were turning truth into not truth. And then as that trickled down and that became more and more corrupted, how long can that happen before the entire fabric and the entire structure is just completely eroded? So it's not your fault if you relate to living in this place called Oz. It's not your fault if you literally feel like, whoa, my whole world's been flipped upside down. That's because it has been. Do you realize we are the only creatures on the planet that have to earn a living? And we don't have to, by the way. That is a program from Oz. We are the only creatures on the planet. We have been convinced in Oz. The people of Oz have been convinced that they must actually work really, really hard, trading their time for dollars so they can pay someone else so they don't have to work really hard. And a lot of these jobs and a lot of these positions that have been created in Oz are really for no purpose. They're really unnecessary. They're really redundant. They're really mundane. They're actually meant to further kill and destroy the connection between the self and the source. They are not heart-centered work. They are not meaningful work. They are not fulfilling work. It is just busy work. How much busy work are you still participating in, thinking that you have to in order to? Well, Brooke, but I gotta eat. Yeah, that's literally the only flippin' thing you actually need to do. You, as a living, breathing, eating thing on this planet, need to find a way to feed yourself. And if the weather is adverse, you need to find a way to have some shelter from it. You should probably carry a big stick, because you never know what kind of politician you might run into these days. But really, like, if you're really honest with yourself, if we're really true about what we actually require for survival, it's that. Anything other than that is just a thing that has been invented to get you to go strive and struggle and stress and buy. So the question is like, if all of this has been inverted and all of this has been perverted and all of this has been corrupted in order to sever your connection with the real God. And then in this land called Oz as a substitute, because we are hardwired to have this connection. We're hardwired to have connection with each other. We're hardwired to have connection with ourselves, with the earth that we live on, with this realm that we live in. With the people, with the animals, with our food. We're actually hardwired to have connection. We're actually hardwired to have knowledge of a higher power, awareness of that. But in the land of Oz, to cut that off, they fulfill that need and that addiction with other things. In the land called Oz, they create all kinds of false idols. They put people in helmets and with pads or with bats and weird ball things, and they video it. And they take people cheering in stands. And they pay these people that do these weird things in these arenas, kind of like the gladiator days. They pay these people a lot because these people are distracting those cheering people from the connection with the something greater. And these people at the top are in this land called Oz are actually feeding off of that energy. They're actually feeding off, they're actually siphoning off that energy of the crowd. So Oz does that. And Oz rewards the people that can distract the most. Oz awards the people that are the most depraved. Oz awards the people that can most get people, the rest of the people, to buy in with the agenda. Y'all know what an agenda is? An agenda is like where you write down your plans. An agenda is a plan. Okay, so they got a whole big plan in this land called Oz, and the plan is to disconnect you from your source, disconnect you from yourself, and make you a servant. And as long as you are buying into the gods of the land called Oz, you are serving the master that doesn't actually want to see your success. How could that ever be a thing? What do you mean? I mean that there are actually some parents out there that don't want to see their children be successful. Like, y'all, I'm talking on a micro level. Please apply this bigger. Please go outwardly. There are some parents out there that are actually so controlling and so manipulative that as their child becomes successful, they will stifle that success. They will manipulate the finances. They will alter the rules. They will enforce different consequences. You know, maybe you're a kid in a household like this and stuff finally starts to get ahead. And so, well, now you owe rent for being here. Or now you owe more rent for being here. Maybe it's like, you know, you start to get some success and then you've got this big event coming up. Oh, event's canceled. You can't go or you're grounded. Okay? Like, just look at where that's happening, maybe in your own reality or where it has happened, and then look at where that could be happening around the world outside of this land called Oz or inside it or something. Because it's insidious. See, in this land called Oz, as they get you to take your eyes off the real one true God that lives and dwells within you. By the way, that's what Mary talks about in her missing piece of the Bible. God is not something that you need someone else to connect you with. You're connected to it already. And it exists within here. By the way, if you go read Mary Magdalene's book from the Bible, she'll talk about how Jesus arrived, but he came in a vision. She didn't see him with these eyes. She saw him with this eye. She felt him with her heart and with her being. She was aware of his presence. I tell ya, I can pull up and I can connect with the presence and the energy of JC anytime I want. Yeshua ben Joseph is a good homie of mine, and we hang out on the regular. And I know that's blasphemous for some of you people that are, well, that's not the word of God. Well, that was law. And quite frankly, some of the shit that you law-abiding, quote, God followers are propagating is the same kind of shit that Jesus would have been flipping tables over. It's the very chains that he came to break. You're not actually here to be perfect. Thank you. You're not actually here to be politically correct. You're not here to look good for other people. You're not actually here to create material success, quite frankly. You are here to know your creator, and you're here to create. The land of Oz tells you otherwise. The land of Oz is the place that says that money is God. The land of Oz is the one that says, well, that thing, that money thing is the thing that you have to have above all else in order to be okay. In the land of Oz, money is God. Now, an interesting thing happens to people when money is their God. When money becomes someone's God, you cannot serve two gods. You cannot be pulled in two directions. So when someone decides to serve money as God, when they become so hyper-focused on it, they actually cut themselves off from connection with the true source, which quite frankly can open up doors and provide things that money doesn't provide. Money, by the way, go down that freaking rabbit hole, please, is not at all what you think it is. You've gotten yourself all worked up into a freaking tizzy, and really what it has been some numbers in a digital database dangled over your head like a carrot. It's been an apparition. It's been a figment of your imagination that has value only because someone said it has value. You know what has real value? 1212. What has real value is your connection from yourself to your source. Making sure that that power is running through you. Because when that power is running through you, nothing can stand against you. No weapon formed against you shall prosper when you are connected to the correct source. But that's the thing, this land called Oz does all kinds of things to keep people out of that connection. It has created a trauma loop matrix where hurt people, where struggle is the norm, where busyness earns brownie points, where well-being cannot be found anywhere in the land because the whole place has been so polluted, so poisoned, so programmed into a state of dis-ease, into a state of division, into a state of fear and turmoil. That place called Oz is not the reality. It is a production studio. It is literally, they built a thing, they built a box, and they plopped the people of Oz in the box, and they told the people, this is reality, this is what's so, follow us if you want to be okay. Here's the recipe. And like a factory, they've cranked out the same standard, mediocre, average creature again and again and again and again and again. And you know what that's created? A whole population that the oppressors of Oz now call worthless eaters. It has created this conglomerate of Oz, this industry called Oz. This place called Oz has created people that it doesn't want or need anymore. It has hailed money and science as God. But the science is not based on truth. Those that come out and speak the truth in this land called Oz are censored. They are shut down. Those that support the agenda are put on a platform and find profit. Now, an interesting thing is happening, and it is biblical. Oz is crumbling. Oz very soon will be no more. See, they do this. This is the other energy, not wanting me to reaffirm out loud where we're actually headed, what's really happening. Oz is a lie, and lies don't stand. Only the truth lives forever. The lie always comes to light. The light always wins. And we're in that time now. Now, the curious thing is, the interesting thing is, I've gotten this vision a lot. Y'all seen Men in Black #3? Remember, the movies are documentaries or propaganda. Like, if you are going to watch anything that has been produced by a production studio, which includes the news, you need to be looking through the lens of where is the bias? What is their slant? What is their agenda? What are they trying to do here? Okay, so it's either a documentary, because the people of Oz have a full disclosure agreement. They have to actually disclose everything that they're up to. They hide everything in plain sight. And if you are living in the place called Oz and you are saying, well, I can't find the truth anywhere, well, then you are denying and deceiving yourself. Because it has been rampant. It has been available. Okay? They hide the truth in plain sight. They count on the people being stupid enough that they're just going to overlook it. So distracted, not even stupid, so distracted that they overlook it. So caught up in this rat race to go make more money. Why? Why make more money? So you can buy more shit from their corporation so it can trickle back up to them? Really? So you can be ever more dependent, so you can be more caged and more concreted in? So you can be more dependent on their chains of production and their chains of transport? Patrick and I were listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about the Great Depression and how the people in the Appalachian Mountains were so self-sufficient that they didn't even know that the Great Depression happened. Like, the whole thing happens, the stock market crashes, everybody's starving, there's like a dust bowl, mayhem, people don't have enough food to eat, you name it. All of that happened. It ends. There's recovery. The people in the Appalachian Mountains then find out, hey, by the way, did you know there was a Great Depression? Huh? Oh, well, you know, come to think of it, I did have to switch from regular sugar to honey. Look, in the land called Oz, they disconnect you from your nature. They disconnect you from your source. They disconnect you from your ancient wisdom. They disconnect you from your knowing. In the land called Oz, there has been a mass genocide, generation after generation of people that carry wisdom. And they do that by design. They don't want people that actually are free thinkers in the land called Oz. They don't want people that have knowledge of the earth, that have knowledge of energy, that have knowledge of themselves. They don't want people that are healers. They don't want people that are cultivators. They don't want people that are builders. In the land called Oz, they spent a whole long time, a couple of generations, really pushing people to go to college to get a degree, to go to university. But really what that whole program was further indoctrination so that people would be really good workers in the environment that Oz created. All for corporate gain. In the land called Oz, the truth is, there is not really power to the people. There's just an illusion of freedom that they've created by, you know, giving people some certain freedoms. Like, you can smoke weed here, kind of freedom. Or like, hey, oh my gosh, when I walk down the makeup aisle, look at all the choices I have. I'm free. It's not freedom. And this over-dependence on some entity that doesn't have your best wishes at heart, which is like the most crazy thing. Because you know what? Like, some part of you, whether or not you've found it yet, whether or not it has slipped on in you yet, there is a part of you that is actually driven to connect with the God, with the Creator. There's a part of you that is meant to trust that fully, to know that your security comes from that thing that comes within you. But you're hijacked so early at the beginning in this land called Oz. Like, from birth, you are hijacked. From birth, you are looking to something outside of you to source that power. From birth, you are looking to somebody else for your survival. From birth. Now, I know that, like, the very vast majority of statistics are made up on the spot. And so I don't know if this is really accurate. And I don't know how you would measure it. But I saw a meme once. We all know memes are facts. I saw a meme once that 60% plus of people in this country believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. No, it does not. Chocolate milk is milk plus chocolate syrup, which is a chemical shitstorm, mixed together. Okay? I saw another meme that was talking about the farmers in this land called Oz being asked to destroy their crops. And the meme was like, I don't see what the big deal is anyway. Everybody gets their food from the grocery store. Can someone please connect the dots here, because the land of Oz is full of stupid people. We are literally in a live reenactment, number one, of that movie Idiocracy. Number two, did y'all see Bezos launch his little balloon thing up into the sky? Did it not look like we were watching Austin Powers? We are literally dealing with a production in this land called Oz. It is just a production. It is meant to deceive you. Okay? Now, come around. If you want to escape Oz, the way to escape Oz. Oh, thank God, that pop felt good. You've got to learn how to discern the truth. You've got to discover what it feels like within yourself, and you must become discerning. You cannot be lazy. I was talking to a woman the other day. Great woman, great personality, very kind. And we were having some of these conversations, and she said, well, you know, I think you're probably right, but I'm just too lazy to look. And you know what? How many people right now are just too lazy? They're too lazy to actually go do the research themselves. They're too lazy to read the book. They're too lazy to have the conversation. They're too lazy to confront their own biases and their own agendas. They're too lazy. And so rather than actually looking at, well, gosh, does this even make sense? Do I have to continue believing this? Was this maybe something that I was just told? Is there maybe something else that's true? Rather than doing that, they just blindly follow and listen to these sources outside of themselves. The so-called experts. You know, I'm going to close with this. If you're just tuning in, please go back and watch the rest, because there was some gold that came through. You are a child of God. You are a child of God. The Holy Spirit lives and dwells within you. It flows through you. You are literally a fragment in the imagination of God. You are God exploring itself through your perception. You are here by design. You are an infinite being in a physical body having an experience. You actually have a say, and you get to help co-create that experience. What kind of experience are you co-creating? You don't need somebody else to connect you to your source. You need to connect with yourself. And in the stillness, you will find yourself already connected to source. In the stillness, you will realize that that source always was there for you. Even in the times that didn't look the way that you thought that they should. It's time to actually take back your power and step out of this space called Oz and step back into the truth, which is a place far beyond. And it's not an ascending up. It's a going within. The kingdom of heaven is here within. It is in the space that you actually be yourself. That when you are being yourself, you are being who the loving God, the Creator, designed you to be. That land called Oz is the place and the paradigm that tells you that you need to be something other than you're not. And that is a lie. If anything is the devil, that land called Oz is the devil. Okay? I'm going to leave it with that. You're going to go back and rewatch this. May the energy be clear. May the message be heard. And may you today practice discerning what is true. The moment you come back to truth, your whole reality gets to shift. Don't buy the illusion. Don't buy the propaganda. Don't make life-altering choices based on external factors. Don't make permanent decisions based on temporary situations. Okay? Much love, everyone.